the way it was designed to work.
Well, it worked for him, my goodness, and he
119.
He went to sleep.
Yeah, he just went to sleep. Amazing. And boy, he was into enemas and colonics, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
I mean, he was like...
He was sick, though, when he was young. He helped himself at 17. He finally found out his problem and got cured.
Yeah.
And, boy, I recommend the same thing, man. Enemas are incredible. Everybody should do them, at least a couple of years.
Folks, if you'd like to learn more about the inside of your body, the stomach and the intestines and how it all works, and Norman Walker, he's probably got 25 books.
Yeah, he does.
But you might try this one that I just picked up at Amazon.com, was Become Younger. And I just cracked it. And then once again, boy, you just get so fired up about doing more and more juices and raw foods and really thinking about what food is really there for, other than just our, sensual pleasure. And even though we all love to do it, I mean, I was thinking this afternoon out on the porch is like, I've had about probably thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives, Don Jansen, or maybe 1 million. And I've spent all those whole lives eating, and it's fun, right? And so maybe I can just say, okay, well, what's going to really help me to excel this lifetime, to really be able to serve or do more work? You know what I mean? And maybe it is substituting what I know to be the very, very best for my body, other than what is essentially more attractive, like a bowl of oatmeal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you know that David Wolf says in his books, at the end of every chapter, cooked food is poison. That's his last sentence of all of his chapters.
No kidding. Well,
yeah, he says it in every chapter. It's sort of funny, but he says it over and over. Cooked food is poison.
Well, yeah, David does very well for himself, and he's a fireball. And so many people that I respect are raw food advocates, living food advocates. Just to name them, Dr. Bob Marshall, David Wolf, Dr. Gabriel Cousins, Annie Jubb, David Jubb, Harvey Diamond. I mean, so many people, that really look at the body intimately and are doing amazing things, amazing work. They eat living foods, they don't, they don't mess around with putting fire to it.
Yeah, I in every place I've lived in the last 20 years, I just take the stove out. I don't have any stove in my house. I just take it out and don't use it. I've done it about 5 times, but I won't even be tempted to have a stove. Don't need it. Because we can eat all the food processed or arranged and raw, and it's so much better. So much better for your digestion. You don't have heartburn. You don't have any of the problems. It's incredible.
Now, let's talk about the wheatgrass then.
Okay,
so now you have a lot of people have a problem with wheatgrass because it's kind of yucky for some people, right?
It's strong. It's hard to drink.
Yeah, it's kind of strong stuff.
It's very strong.
Uh-huh.
And I struggled with it for a number of years. My father, in his 80s and 90s, drank 8 ounces a day for 2 years because he'd been very sick as a child, and all of his life he had cancer. And in the 80s, when I got him to Florida, he drank peroxide and got rid of all of his cancer, got totally disinfected, and my mother died, so he drank juices. So he drank wheatgrass every day, and the results from 8 ounces of wheatgrass every day were incredible. His hair all grew in, his beard turned black, his eyesight became 20/20, his skin became clear, all of his age spots left. It was incredible. He looked younger, and he lived to 94 and went to sleep.
That's 8. He did 8 ounces of wheatgrass for how long?
2 years.
2 years.
Every day. We kept him in the wheatgrass, make sure 4 ounces every morning, 4 ounces every evening. And I have a friend in Canada who tried it, and I said, I wonder if we shouldn't drink more. If 8 is good for you, what would 12 do? And so he did 16 for 2 years. And he said it doesn't make a difference. He figures 8 is a maximum. More isn't necessarily better. He saw no difference between 8 and 16.
So why do you suppose your dad then as he was getting so healthy, passed on, he just had so many other things that were not
Well,
right.
he had used up so many of his enzymes all through his life, and he didn't feel like he was needed anymore here. I put him in a rest home only so he could meet people. He was totally healthy, gave himself baths, did everything, got his driver's license at 90 years of age. But he needed friends. He'd sit alone at home and wait for me to come over and talk with him, and I didn't like that. So I said, I'm going to put you in a home. And it was, a real bad one.
And then he died, yeah.
And he was there 1 week. And that Friday we had a party because I'd got him moved in, and that night I got home at 1 in the morning, and they called me and said, your father just passed away. And I had to laugh because I figured he thought, we had a good time, we've had good, but I'm not staying here.
Yeah, he said, I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this kind of stuff. But his hair turned black. How old?
His hair all grew in. He was in his 90s. And he's been bald, a beard bald with a little ring around the edge ever since I remember as a kid. And all of it grew in. All of it grew in.
That's amazing.
It was like a mat. It was incredible. I had to give him haircuts.
If you're just joining us, folks, Don Jansen's father started drinking 8 ounces of the ocean-grown now. It's a big difference. The ocean-grown wheatgrass at how old?
88, 89.
After a year of after a whole lifetime of just standard American diet, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Cooked food. Good German cooked dead food.
Wow. Dead food for 78 years or 88 years. And then his hair started growing back. That's amazing, man. And so that's got to be just the minerals, huh, Don Jansen?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's lack of minerals that causes people to lose their hair, you bet. And Wigmore drank wheatgrass, and her hair all grew in, and she had a bushy black head of hair. Now, had Dad done it for 5 years or 7, he'd have a big head of hair. He would have had it too.
And Wigmore didn't even do the ocean grown. So I mean, look at the difference.
Yeah, it made a big difference, even though it wasn't ocean grown.
Mm-hmm. But now you've come up with something that I'm excited about, because, for me and for many people, the wheatgrass, ocean grown or not, is pretty harsh stuff. I mean, it's hard. It's just rough stuff. But now tell us about what you've done, which I'm very jazzed about.
Well, I've wanted to dehydrate the wheatgrass and powder it and put it in capsules. I've wanted that for years, and I had a gentleman who was going to grind it and dry it for me, and his machine didn't work. He couldn't do my wheatgrass. He built a vortex dryer that spun your product around and tore it up and dried it all in the same process in about 90 degrees. When you have expanded air shooting into a funnel kind of thing, it cools things off. It doesn't heat them up. And it was incredible. It would dry the grass at about 90 degrees. I loved it. And tear it up into powder.
Wow.
But I shipped him a pound of my grass, and he called back the next day, and he says, I don't know what happened. He says, I spun your grass in my machine, and a little bit of powder came out, not enough for a pound of grass. I waited and ran it, and finally I shut it off. No more was coming. And a lump fell out like a Brillo pad. It was incredible. It would not tear up. He couldn't tear it up. He says, I have never experienced this in my life.
Now, why do you suppose that is?
I think it's because I have metals in my food.
Oh, because of the ocean, you got all the good metals, silver and gold and all that stuff.
Tungsten and everything, it's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never had food that had gold and silver and platinum and the tin and iron and all that. It's in mine. All of it's in there.
Well, that's what really makes the body work, right?
Yeah, well, we're electrical. We need the metals. We can't live on pasta, and electricity doesn't run good on donuts.